Welcome to the Highlights from Ukraine podcast, your daily audio summary of the latest news reported in the Ukrainian media. We would really appreciate if you could rate us in the app where you are listening to this podcast, ideally with 5 stars, and leave a glowing review. This way more people will learn about the highlights from Ukraine. My name is Artem, and here is the news. 257 days Ukraine stands strong against the Russian invasion. Ukraine seized 5 strategic enterprises into state ownership, reports Interfax Ukraine. Secretary of the National Security and Defense Council Alexei Danilov informed that the state seized assets of one of Europe's largest aircraft engine manufacturing enterprises, Motor Sich, manufacturer of power transformers and shunt reactors, Zaporizh Transformator, car manufacturer Avtokraz, and 2 oil companies, Ukernafta and Ukrtatnafta. Danilov added that their management has been transferred to the Ministry of Defense. He stressed that upon the end of martial law, these assets can be returned to their owners, or there will be a corresponding reimbursement of their value. Prime Minister Denis Shmyhal said that these strategic enterprises will work 24/7 for Ukraine's defense. In Ukernafta, the controlling stake belongs to the state-owned company Naftogaz Ukraine, while a minority stake of about 42% belongs to the so-called Privat Group of oligarch Igor Kolomoisky and Gennady Bogolyubov. In Ukrtatnafta, the situation is reversed. The circulation of all shares of Motor Sich, the largest owner of which is president of the company Vyacheslav Boguslayev, who was recently arrested, has been blocked since April 2018 after the sale of a controlling stake to Chinese Sky Ryzen a year earlier. Avtokraz and Zaporizh Transformator, controlled respectively by oligarchs Konstantin Zhivago and Konstantin Grigorishin, have been in bankruptcy proceedings in recent years. President Volodymyr Zelensky said that the transfer of the company's assets to the state will help meet the urgent needs of the Ukrainian defense sector. He informed that some of the enterprises hardly worked, but now all of them will work for defense. According to the president, seized enterprises will help in the repair and production of equipment, provision of the defense forces, and restoration of Ukraine's infrastructure. The president stressed that he does not rule out other similar decisions. Ukraine received the first NASAMS and Aspid air defense systems, reports Militarny. Defense Minister Alexei Reznikov thanked the US, Norway, and Spain for their support. He stressed that these weapons will significantly strengthen the Ukrainian army and will make the skies safer. These are 2 first batteries of NASAMS out of 8 that Ukraine will receive overall. Volodymyr Zelensky said in his Union video address that the recent escalation of Russian missile and drone terror has only resulted in the world responding with new aid to Ukraine. He promised to do everything so that as many countries as possible join this aid. Turkey suggests extending the Black Sea grain export agreement for another year, reports Suspilne. Turkish National Defense Minister Hulusi Akar said that Russia received written guarantees from Ukraine and now the agreement can be extended. He didn't specify what those guarantees were about, but before Russia claimed that it had received guarantees that Kyiv won't use the grain corridor for military activities. The agreement that allows the export of Ukrainian grain is about to expire on November 19th. Hungary refuses to support the EU long-term financial aid program for Ukraine for 18 billion euros for 2023, reports Channel 5. The Minister of Foreign Affairs of Hungary, Péter Szijjártó, said that his country will not support the plan because such long-term plans proved to be ineffective during the COVID-19 pandemic. Szijjártó added that the Hungarian government has spent tens and hundreds of millions of euros to support healthcare, education, culture, and churches in Ukraine and is ready to continue financial support on a bilateral basis. He also once again criticized the sanctions introduced by the European Union against Russia because they do not harm Moscow and hit Europeans the most. The Antonov state enterprise is building a second An-225 Mriya aircraft after the first one was destroyed by Russian occupiers during the offensive in the Kyiv region back in February, reports European Pravda. According to Yevhen Gavrilov, acting director general of Antonov, work on the new aircraft that will again be the largest in the world continues at a secret facility. It will be based on the parts of the second An-225, construction of which started in the late 80s and was never completed. The overall cost of the project is about 500 million euros. Later, the company clarified that currently design work on the new aircraft has begun. According to the expert assessment, at present there are about 30% of components that can be used for the second model of the aircraft. If you like what we do and would like to tip us, you can now do so directly to our PayPal. Check out the link in the description to this episode for more details. And as usual, you can subscribe to our Patreon. In gratitude for your help, we will give you access to a series of exclusive episodes on wartime life in Ukraine. We call on you to demand from governments of your countries to impose the toughest sanctions possible on Russia and its citizens to stop their invasion of Ukraine.